Hello, Hypno Junkies. Welcome back to this insanity. It's time for another episode of Chaos Head Noah. Hell yeah. So, things just keep escalating with each episode here. Last time we get to know Orihara a little better, which is kind of cool because she's been sort of a side character for a bit, and now that we've got to spend some quality time with her, boy, I thought the chapter was called Psychopath because of maybe Shogun or something. If it was in reference to some other character, boy, I'm not sure Orihara would have been even on my list of guesses there, but turns out she might be the psychopath because she's a little nuts. We did learn a few other things. We got a few more leads. Things are moving forward. I feel like we're inching ever closer to our own D-sword. Hopefully we don't have to lean out over a building to get it anymore, since it seems to just show up in patterns, according to Orihara. Senna may be able to shed some light on this as well, because we've just run into her. So, having a nice little bit of dialogue and exposition while things don't go crazy. I would still like to confirm that Nanami's alright, but we've also had our 6th incident, which wasn't Nanami, so that's good. We also had a nasty little scene with Rimi. Maybe Rimi's the one we can't trust. Maybe Rimi's the one who's Shogun's underling, not Yua. But, yeah, that still has to be elaborated on. Lots of fun happening. The only other thing I mentioned, I've been editing and stuff, and things occur to me as I'm going back over footage again. I did notice Ayase apparently thinking some weird stuff just before she jumped, saying that she could fly. I think the students were reporting that she had said that before she got up on the roof. So I think there's evidence that she's been getting messed with. Again, I'd really like to talk to her once she's out of the hospital. I'm also kind of curious why Rimi was following her around too, because that scene with Shogun now puts that in a slightly different light. But regardless, let's see what Senna's got to offer here, and hopefully this episode doesn't go 2 hours. Hi Senna, nice D-sword. Sour mood as ever, but this is another person that Kozupi, aka Orihara, has been apparently talking to, because Senna seems to recognize the telepathy conversation. Hey, Aoi, walking around with a D-sword, looking for more rucksackers to mess up? I reflexively tensed up. What is Senna doing here? Is it just another coincidence, or is this a calculated trap? Settle down. Do these two know each other? If they did Kazupi call her here? We're just calling her Kazupi now, I love that. Are the two of them here to kill me? Also, everything I'm thinking about, Kazupi knows because she can just read my mind like it's nothing, so rein that in. Kazupi's telling you you're just being paranoids. Gotta go back to this voice. Yeah, but what's safe to believe in? Although it is true that no matter how many times I've run into Senna, she's never tried to attack me. But that doesn't mean she's my ally. Besides, she's scary as hell. Senna-shan's not scary. Why would you think that? Hey! Kazupi, I can really go without the commentary. Scary? What's that supposed to mean? Okay, no, this is what we're talking about, Senna. This is exactly what I mean. As I'd figured, Senna could hear Kazupi's inner voice too. Okay, so Kazupi is just broadcasting. At least to us, anyway. Nothing at all. She just grips me up by the collar down. Fuck you mean I'm scary? Kazupi simply bathed in delight as I bumbled about. Facing the ground, she gently grasped the hem of Senna's clothes and smiled bashfully. The two of them were such an amusing combination. I felt stupid for getting so nervous. What the? Wait, what? Why are we doing this? What? Just auto-delusion? Okay, Kazupi's gonna see this and be like, dude, turn it down. They're just like sisters. One, the strong and firm older sister, the other, the younger, more timid sister who loves her sibling more than anything. And on top of that, both of them have small breasts, so mega freaking GJ there. Nature, yeah, Kazupi, can you interrupt this, please, for my sanity? Wait, shit, chill out. What if Kazupi reads my mind again? If I'm not careful, I could die here, yes. No, stop. How are those two related anyway? Are they classmates? Oh, that also reminds me, something else I forgot to mention. Yua mentioned a sister. I wonder if someone around here is going to fit that bill. Also, as I was saying that, I see that Kazupi's expression keeps changing. She's just disappointed in us in general, I think. How are these two related? Are they classmates? Maybe not, since they're in different grades and all. Is there something connecting the sorts of people who have swords? Are the two of them Shogun's underlings? No, that's Rimi. There is something that these people seem to connect somehow, because again, Senna called us out in that hallway before we'd done anything at all. Ayase seemed to know something too, and of course Kazupi was instantly like, oh, thank goodness I'm in the same class as you. I put myself in the cat stance in case I had to escape at a moment's notice. What that specifically entailed was standing with my heels raised off the ground. That would allow me to speed away like a cat if the need arose, maybe. I don't know, I'd seen it in a manga forever ago. Stop doing this! Why is this the way we're starting the episode? When Kazupi came to Tokyo, Senna-shan was her first frenzy. Right? Righties? Senna's like, whatever. Rather than answering, Senna merely glared at me. I'd figured she was about to lunge at me with that sword of hers, but that never happened. Calling her scary hadn't seemed to have pissed her off to that extent, at least. But she is scary! Kozui, why are you with this guy? Takumi-shan is Kazupi's classmate. Takumi-shan? Takumi-shan can see Kazupi's sword, too. I'm aware. This guy's a gigglomaniac. What the hell is a gigglomaniac? Do we need to find that homeless guy? Gigolo, what now? A gigglomaniac. I don't laugh nearly enough for you to call me that. That's someone who can see these swords, among other things. You're one of those, Takumi-shan. A gigglomaniac? Who in the world decided to name it that? Given it has a name at all, then maybe these powers aren't all that uncommon? Oh! Kazupi knows you're on your way to go and buy a Crunchy-Kun, aren't you, Senna-shan? Yep, Senna is without a popsicle, therefore she is probably going to get a popsicle. From the sound of it, Kazupi had read Senna's mind. Speaking of, I'd seen Senna eating Crunchy-Kuns in the past. With winter right around the corner, I wasn't sure why she'd be eating popsicles of all things. Guess she just really liked them. Come on, let's go, everyone. Okay, Mario. Announcing that with her inner voice, Kazupi clung to Senna and pulled her along. Hurry up, Takumi-shan.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, but I tried to turn her down so I could get out of there already, but... What? Kazupi started tearing up almost immediately. Her teary eyes looked up at me as she silently pleaded with me. On top of that, Senna was glaring at me like she was ready to rip my throat out with her teeth at any moment. Come along. I'll treat you too. I'm everyone's pet now. It looked like Kazupi had scored a critical hit on Senna with her teary assault. Urging me to follow, I reluctantly trailed behind her, heading toward the convenience store right behind the police station. There we go. Only talk to Senna when she has a popsicle. After buying each of us a Crunchy-Kun, we sat near the handrails in front of the police station, nibbling away at them. While Kazupi looked delighted as could be, Senna's air of indifference remained the same. I was stressing out. The police were right there in the station in front of us. Yeah, exactly. Bond's gonna come out and see you and just be like, oh, this is an interesting crowd. And yet, despite that, they paid no mind to the fact that two people with me were in utter violation of the Swords and Firearms Control Act. Nobody else can see them. I guess Bond knows that Senna has one. He saw it on the video. The police were supposed to police people. The girls were right in their line of sight, but they didn't even try to arrest them. In fact, they didn't even care enough to slap us with a warning. Not gonna eat? Now that Kazupi had pointed it out, I just went screw it and started eating my Crunchy-Kun. Though it was bothering me how people were staring. Though I suppose that was only fair. Senna and Kazupi were cute as hell, and the very idea that two small-chested sisters like them... Can we stop identifying them as small-chested? Like them were hanging out with an otaku freak like me. Just say classmates, you're all in uniform. Just sitting and eating Crunchy-Kuns together out in the cold. Well, it was all pretty absurd. Maybe I was overthinking it. I couldn't block out the snickering in my ears. Was I just hearing things? Was it another auditory illusion, or was it just Kazubi laughing? I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be looked at. I just wanted to find the homeless guy and ask him what the hell he's talking about. I was afraid of people gazing at me. I probably should have worn a hat. Seriously, I really wanted to get out of here this second. I continued hurriedly eating my Crunchy-Kuns so I could leave already, and every bite left my body feeling even colder. This was going to give me diarrhea really bad later. How are those two not freezing? So, Kazui, why are you with this guy? Takumi-chan's name is Takumi-chan, not this guy. Does Senna even know our name? Does she care? A whole bunch of baddies were picking on Takumi-chan, and he got pushed downsies, so Kazubi nursed him right back to tip-top shape. So she'd been the one who looked out after me? Did you use your D-sword? Kazubi wanted to kill them all, like bam, whack, boom. Kazubi was attempting to gesture wildly in an attempt to explain how things went down. But since her left hand was busy holding her colossal D-sword, she was just waving the other around spastically. Which, of course, was the same hand holding her Crunchy-Kun. That's going to go flying. Just like that. She'd only taken a single bite of her Crunchy-Kun before launching it in the air with a perfect arc. The popsicle soared through the sky before eventually landing smack dab in the middle of the road where it splattered into pieces. Well done. Kazubi was on the verge of tears as she stared at what remained of her popsicle. I told you before not to be so careless. Kazubi, so sorry. Now the wasted food boogeyman is going to come out. There's a wasted food boogeyman? I meant your D-sword, not your popsicle. Senna held her half-eaten Crunchy-Kun to Kazubi, seemingly giving up what she had left. Still a bit teary-eyed, Kazubi smiled as she accepted the popsicle with a bow of her head. Color be surprised. I guess even Senna had her moments. But, of course Kazubi's got a punishment set up for all the baddies. Speaking of those assholes, who exactly had turned them to mincemeat? Kazubi? Or me? Takumi-chan! Senna-chan super really knows lots and lots. I get that impression. Senna-chan taught Kazubi that these thingies are called D-swords. And then about how to real flute? Brute? Buddha? How to real flute. Real boot. Real boot? What the hell's a real boot? Ah, yeah. The hell did that mean? I'd never heard of that before. This is just as cryptic as the giggle or whatever thing from earlier. Nobody else should have seen my sword because it wasn't real booted. But Senna-chan totally saw it. Oh, so you can actually force the D-sword to be visible. Interesting. Senna-chan was the first person I ever met who could see my D-sword. So that's how Senna found you. You were just walking around waving it about. When that happened, Kazubi was all, no way! So Kazubi had to ask why she could see it. That's when Senna-chan told Kazubi it was because of being a gigalomaniac. What even is a gigalomaniac? Kazubi already told you. It's a someone who can see swords. A bit more detail here, like how does that work? Elaborate, please. One with the ability to interfere with the Dirac Sea. That's not helping me. That is what a gigalomaniac is. Rather than Kazubi, it was Senna who'd answered what was on my mind. Kazubi's like, the hell? The Dirac Sea? Senna shot me a scornful glance as I tilted my head in puzzlement. It's not my fault y'all's cryptic as hell. The hell was that look for? Sure, I may look like an idiot, but I'm pretty damn smart when it comes down to it, you know. I was pretty sure the Dirac Sea was a concept related to quantum mechanics. Oh? It's an unobservable interface, totally filled with negative energy or something, right? A very rough idea of it, but yes. And the terminal for interfering with this interface is a D-sword. Think of it as a pipe whose end is stuck in the Dirac Sea. Considering how D-swords link directly to the Dirac Sea, they too are composed of negative matter. They're entities which infinitely collapse in upon themselves. This is why they are something of a delusion, one that ordinary people are unable to perceive. For these reasons, D-swords act as the shortcut to real booting. Okay, can we elaborate on the real booting? By expanding the channel between one's D-sword and the Dirac Sea, pair production occurs as per the whole theory in the Dirac equation, producing particles and antiparticles. My God, Senna just hit me with 3 tooltips in the same sentence. You have got to be like the top of your class. While these particles are the delusions created by gigalomaniacs, to the world they are nothing but errors. I'm sure this is going to make sense later. For an error to become reality, one must produce and send those particles into another's dead spots. Oh, she knows about the dead spots. The particles are then promptly converted into electrical signals, and through mutual recognition by surrounding observers, they become established as reality. Like a flower bed. Conversely, if one wishes to erase them, antiparticles are able to be sent into the dead spots where particles were previously received, thus annihilating them both. I think that's what Remy was talking about by erasing us. She doesn't want to kill Takumi. She wants to erase Takumi. For whatever reason, what Takumi can do is something Shogun and Remy are worried about. Right, I remember Senna mentioning that before. The mechanisms behind the world's function can be explained by 3 numbers. Ah yes, 0, 1, and -1. A D-sword is a shortcut to produce the last of those, -1. You can put your arm down, the popsicle's finished. This was all giving me a headache. So, surrounding observers mutually recognize delusions as reality, but what does that actually mean? Consider the Crunchy-Kun in your hand. What does it look like to you? Like a blue popsicle, I guess. Astute observation. Can you prove that this blue popsicle is truly real? I could mush it around in your face. I mean, what else would it be? It was a Crunchy-Kun. Anyone with eyes could see that, and anyone with a mouth could feel how cold it was with every bite. I would think that'd be a pretty obvious answer. Only once the brain comprehends what the eyes see does it acknowledge it as a blue popsicle. However, there's always the possibility of the brain subconsciously deceiving itself. Perhaps the brain produces a delusion and proceeded to convince itself of that. Then how can you even prove what's real? If anyone outside of yourself observes that what you're holding is a blue popsicle, then mutual recognition will be attained between you all. It no longer remains as your solitary delusion. To grasp the concept of turning delusions into reality, it needs to be approached paradoxically. Well, that's great. To break it down then, a person's solitary delusion could become reality by forcibly showing it to someone, and this could be done by using particles created by a D-sword to attain mutual recognition, or something along those lines. That's why Senna was like, do you belong to this church or whatever when we made the flower bed, because I guess in her mind it shouldn't be possible to do that sort of thing without a D-sword. So did I have that power too? Yeah. Kazupi doesn't get it at all. Anyway, Kazupi's sword is invisible to normal people's. How come Kazupi can figure this out to the extent that she can at least get a sword and we can't? I guess we're overthinking it. Kazupi returned, said as Crunchy-Kun, and then trotted back toward the road. Then, in front of all the people walking along the road, for some inexplicable reason, she suddenly began whirling around her D-sword wildly. Could you not? Don't do that. Why? I shielded my eyes. So those were her true colors. In the end, she was nothing more than a homicidal maniac. Any second now, the road would become a sea of blood. Anyone crossing paths with that colossal blade would have their body torn to pieces. With a police station right in front of us, they'd catch her in the act. It would be an open and shut case. Takumi-san, it is not like that. Don't you see? Why was it so quiet? The whole crowd had just gotten mowed down with their sword in broad daylight right here in the heart of Shibuya. So was it passing through them? And yet there hadn't even been a single scream. The cops hadn't even intervened. I slowly uncovered my eyes. No special CG? Nothing had happened. Nothing at all. Kazupi, looking a tad embarrassed, was still brandishing her colossal sword. You would think that the sword would have struck anyone nearby, or maybe some railing, or even the ground, but no, not a thing was damaged. If anything, the sword was passing right through everything, as if everything else was an illusion. Wait a second. Actually, I had that backwards. It was the sword that lacked substance. The people walking around us weren't bothered in the slightest. They couldn't see the sword. So if they can't see it, they can't be affected by it? So maybe you can't cut people, you can only cut objects. Maybe? Ding, ding, ding! Or you have to real boot it first, which is why Senna real booted her sword before attacking the rucksack dude. D-swords are delusionary swords. I asked I had said something along those lines too, that the swords could only be seen by those who possess the power. Standing next to me, Senna let out an exhausted sigh before taking another bite of her Crunchy-Kun. Right now, Kazui's D-sword is simply an error she created. It has yet to attain mutual recognition. If Kazupi real booted it, then it would be visible to everyone. Real booting. That would mean sending particles into the dead spots of surrounding observers. Yeah? Not that I knew what the hell a dead spot even was. We heard the organization talking about dead spots. We did the whole thing with the ring and the dot. Let's Kazupi slishy slash and smashy crash. Can you please explain with anything other than sound effects? Still, I think I got the picture. Slishy slash was probably for cutting and smashy crash was for hitting. What was this girl going on about cutting and hitting? Did Kazupi seriously do such horrifying stuff like that? What about me? Did I have the power to do that too? No, I wasn't special. I wasn't a gigglomaniac, despite seeing a sword right there. And in the end, I hadn't even been able to obtain a D-sword. But Takumi-san saw Takumi-san's sword, right? You'll get it real soon, Takumi-san. Kazupi knows it. I'm telling you, it's no good. Even back at O-Front, it just didn't work. Sure, I did see a sword there, but I had zero clue how to actually grab it. Well, I'm sure if Takumi-san asks how to get it... Kazupi peered at Senna, as if to urge her to do something. Senna let out another sigh. Whoops, I skipped ahead. As biorhythms climb, the neurons in the midbrain limbic system excessively secrete dopamine, and one's D-sword appears. Well, Senna just keeps reeling out the $10 words here. Depending on the person, this could come from feeling threatened, excited, sad, hateful, or happy. The higher the amount of dopamine secreted, the easier it becomes to observe. Well, there you go, Takumi-san. It was just absurd how wide Senna's knowledge was. She might very well be an outright genius. I mean, with explanations this detailed, you'd think she majored in gigglomaniacology if that was even a thing. For starters, I couldn't imagine there being any other girl in all of Japan who could spout theories and jargon off the top of their head to this degree. Like I said, she's a smart one. Where on God's green earth had she studied literally any of that? What was with all the mysterious characters accumulating around me? I was dying for an answer. Thinking about it all just wore me out. It sucked ass only half understanding what was going on. But I didn't have the strength to look into it myself, because none of these people were normal in the slightest. Grappling with those feelings of bitterness, I took one last bite of my thawing Crunchy-Kun. Oh, I won. Oh, is that what the win and lose thing is? The things on the popsicles. Did you win? It said win on what was visible of the stick. Kazupi came back and peered into my hand. Wowsies, Takumi-san! I remember that. Do they still do that? I feel like they used to do that when I was a kid, but I haven't had a popsicle in, like, ages. Lucky bastard. Oh, Senna-san, you're just jealous because you wanted a winsies too. Yeah, Senna never wins. Every time she looks at her popsicle stick, she's like, I lost. Who says I care? I doubted Kazubi could be so easily fooled here, given her ability to read everything on someone's mind. Senna-san, you always eat Crunchy-Kuns, all super duper excited to see if you're a winner. And how many times have you won? I have a win rate of 13.7%. She really had this stuff down to a science. Did she calculate all that every time she ate one? Okay, that's not that bad. Finishing her Crunchy-Kun as well, she gave the leftover stick a quick glare, only to let out a quiet snort. She must have lost. Or at least her face made it look that way. Alright, we get a delusion. Hey, if you won't mind, here. I timidly held out my winning stick. What do you would, another popsicle? I have no intention of accepting handouts. I'm merely experimenting with my own possibilities. Oh, interesting. But Senna-san's heart says she really wants it, you know? Okay, I like having Kazubi around. Yeah, call her out in her bullshit. Do it. You can have it. I don't eat a whole lot of popsicles. I'm contributing to your experiments, but I refuse. She'd shot me down in less than a second. Fine, I see how it is. She was the type of bitch who liked to spit in other people's kindness, or could it just be the general prickliness of a tsundere? Acting like this IRL wasn't moe at all. How dare you not be moe? Okay, then how about this, Senna-san? Takumi-san will give you the winning stick if Senna-san says the Shibuyan magic words that Senna-san and Kazubi studied the other day. I said I don't want it. Yeah, but now you get to pay me for it, so it's okay. Oh, come on, just do it. Say the thing Senna-san's supposed to say when she's having fun. What? What are these secret words? Now that I think about it, I'm like having so much super duper ultra fun that it's crazy. Like, wow, Zio, very good. What kind of DQN Gyaru language was this? She'd even mixed in some words that had fallen out of usage several years ago. So they'd been studying that? It had hurt to listen to, but in a way it was actually kind of charming. It's so Senna-san and Kazubi can fit right in Shibuya. Come on, Senna-san. I don't think I need to learn this anymore. It's okay. I don't care to... We don't... It's fine. I can't. Not here. You can too. No, I can't. Ooh. Do the puppy dog eyes. Yep, do it. Kazubi got teary-eyed once again as she stared unrelentingly at Senna. If she did that, Senna would have to... You big softy. Sigh. Now that you mention it, I'm having so much fun. It's insane. Like, wow. That's your magic words. I'm having so much fun. It's insane. Like, wow. Very good. Haha, Senna-chan still pausing a whole bunch. Senna, now red in the face, looked away. I had borne witness to something truly precious. Something worlds away from the girl who'd go on and on about unintelligible theories like they were nothing. Dere mode truly was the best. Good job, Kazubi. G fucking G. Thanks to you, I'd managed to catch a single, ephemeral glimpse of the true potential 3D still had to offer. Senna's gonna kick you in the balls. Anyway, with all that said and done, I handed over the winning stick to Senna. She accepted it with surprisingly little pushback. Don't expect a thank you. Yeah. Upon saying that, she made a show of picking up and shouldering her D-sword as she scowled at me, leading me to quickly look downward. I wasn't sure why she had to intimidate me like that, even though I'd just given her something. I really had no idea how to deal with her like this. I wish she'd just stay in dere mode all the time. More importantly, you are... Oh? Yeah, you know our name. Kazupi's told you multiple times. Takumi-shan!
匠なのか
Or maybe you want our actual proper name without the Shan.
違う
What? No!
シャンは
You don't
つけな
need
く
the
ても
Shan part.
名前は
What's your full name? I had a feeling I'd already told her my name before. She'd probably just forgotten it. I think we did too.
西條匠です
Yeah, that.
だったら西
Nishijo Takumi des. Nishijo then. Why our last name?
もうこれ以上エラーを作
Don't
る
create any more errors than you already have.
は
Huh? But I want my sword. But why not?
剣は自分の心なのら
The sword is your heart, and it's not smart to deny your heart.
コズピーはこの剣のおかげで
Kazupi was
助か
saved
ったわ
thanks to this sword. Remember? Saved? What had happened in Kazupi's past? This question tied in with her wish, too. The one where she'd said she'd wanted to kill.
妄想を現実にする行為には
The act of turning a delusion into reality has its risks.
粒子とともに追生成される反粒子
Pair produced in tandem with particles are antiparticles, which stock up in the D sword.
反粒子は
Given,
数学的に言えば
mathematically
過去へ
speaking,
向
that
かうものだ
antiparticles are that which approach the past,
ストックすればするほど
the larger the amount stocked up, the
現在の
larger
状
a
態とのズレが
Gigalomaniac's
発生
gap
し
from their present state. Is that going to explain Shogun?
やがてその矛盾により
And if not
存在
corrected,
としての自己崩
those
壊が
contradictions will eventually lead toward one's self-collapse as an existence. Oh, delightful. Yeah, in Japanese, please.
梢も
So this
あまり
means
理
you
想度を
too,
出すのをやめる
Kazumi.
んだ
You need to stop using your D-sword so often.
普通に生活していきたいな
If
ら
you want to live a normal life,
私の
then you need to
忠告を
stop
聞け
now. I'm warning you for a reason. Meanwhile, Senna's just walking around with her D-sword out all the
こ
time.
れはお前たちの命に
This
関
is
わ
a
る
matter
話
of life and death for you two. It didn't look like Senna was joking. Then again, she wasn't the type to joke anyway.
ましてや西条
Not to mention what you did, Nishija-kun. The flower
お前
bed.
はディソードなしでリアルブートして
You real booted without a
本
D-sword.
来なら
Something that
そんなこと
shouldn't
でき
be
るはずがない
fundamentally possible.
リラックの
Well,
海に
fuck your science
ディ
then.
ソードを通してしか
The
干
only
渉
way
で
to
きない
interfere with the Dirac Sea is through a D-sword.
お前は普通じゃない
You aren't normal.
奴らに目をつけられ
You
てる
guys are one to talk. It wouldn't surprise me if they have their eyes on you.
やつら
Who's they?
ギガロマニアックスの力を
There are
悪用し
people
よう
out
とし
there
てい
that
る
are
連
trying to
中
abuse the power of Gigalomaniacs.
それって将軍
Do you mean Shogun? So is that what the biorhythm stuff is about? We were speculating before about using people to kill others, and obviously Ayase was manipulated to try to commit suicide. Are people who don't have access to D-swords that aren't Gigalomaniacs who are using the GE rate and this other stuff to manipulate sword holders to do things? Maybe, possibly?
知らない
I don't know.
誰だそれ
Yeah, who's Shogun? Yeah, who is that? No idea who you're talking about. Kazupi, did Senna just lie?
ついてないよ
Nopesies! Okay, so we can confirm that Senna is not a Shogun minion.
西条
No more of this talk.
将軍と
Nishijo, who is
Dareda.
Shogun? The sheer chill in her voice sent shivers down my spine. Naturally, I couldn't look her in the eye. Ow! She grabbed me by the chest, making it hard to breathe. Okay, you're back to being scary. Why does she have to be so violent? What have I even done wrong? There was also a name that Senna came up with in the park when she attacked that first rucksack guy. I forget what it was. It started with an H. I wonder who that's going to end up being.
そいつは
Are
40
they
代
a
ぐらい
man
の男
around their 40s?
違うよ
No,
小さ
not
な
at
じい
all.
さんだよ
He's this tiny old guy in a wheelchair. Senna immediately let go of me.
そいつもギガロマニアックスなの
Is he a Gigalomaniac as well?
わからない
I don't know.
でもニュージェネの真犯人だ
He's
よ
the new gen culprit.
真犯人
The culprit. And definitely not me. Senna placed her finger on her chin, then began to ponder something while remaining completely still. You have a sprite for putting your finger on your chin. Why aren't you using it? The air felt volatile. I was hit with a strange feeling of anxiety. Senna knew something. Senna knows a great many things. But what the hell did she know? Who were these people that were trying to abuse the power of Gigalomaniacs?
そうだそうだ
Ah, Kazumi's got an idea. Kazumi's got an idea. How about the three of us all go take a picture together? Look, over there. Oh, God. Is she pointing? Because the guy with the rucksack was pointing a camera at Nanami. Are we about to see someone with a camera and Senna's going to go into apeshit mode? Suddenly, Kazue pointed to something and she spoke enthusiastically. She was pointing at... Oh, never mind. The arcade next to the police station. When it came to taking commemorative photos... Oh. Great. This was where it inevitably happened. Well, are those swords in the picture? Because that may raise some questions. Takumi-san! Come on, get right in the middle. I love how both Senna and Orihara give absolutely zero shits, but for completely different reasons. No, wait, I'm... Senna-san! Looking away is a no-no. This is... It's Kazupi's first time doing this. Kazupi's heart is going ba-dump like crazy. Without once consulting us, Kazupi followed the instructions on the screen and pushed button after button. And before Senna and I could get ready, mentally and physically, a voice came from the screen. Okay, say cheese. Click. Gigalomaniac Trio first-timers. Guys! Okay, the swords didn't show up in the picture, so that's at least nice. In the picture we had taken, neither of the D swords were visible. Yep. Thank goodness. Okay, Z's, bye-bye now. See you tomorrow. Will you? I'll have to check the schedule. With a small wave and a smile, Kazupi disappeared in the direction of the station ticket gates. Senna and I watched her go. Okay, where's the homeless dude? I would have preferred not to be alone with Senna, but it seemed like she wasn't in a leaving Shibuya mood yet. Maybe she was planning to start wandering around the area like she normally did. She's just patrolling for rucksacks. I wanted to head back home as soon as possible, but there was one thing I had to ask the resident Gigalomaniac Brainiac before I did. Even when I tried talking to her, the stern expression remained on her face. It was a lot better when Kazupi was here, but man, would it kill her to be a little more approachable? I assumed she'd heard me, so while my heart might have been beating out of my chest, I asked my question anyway. Kazupi's inner voice thing. It's a Gigalomaniac ability, right? Are we going to talk about how you can basically flash step? I didn't expect her to answer me. I expected her to just hit me with a condescending head and then just leave it at that. Senna glanced at me once, then shifted her eyes toward the Jumbotron, resting above the scramble crossing. Her inner voice is a delusion, so to speak. She replied, Kazue is just sending it to someone else's dead spots. The mechanism behind it is exactly the same as what I just explained. So does that mean we can do it too? But in this case, the particles are converted into sound rather than images, just like a phone. It's the phone analogy again, and then as Kazue sent the delusion of her inner voice to you, she and you established mutual recognition. It seems like you're talking telepathically, but in reality it's not like that at all. If that's true, how did my inner voice reach Kazupi? I hadn't sent any delusions to Kazupi's dead spots. So if what Senna was saying was true, it should have only been a one-way conversation starring Kazupi. Actually, I'm not sure Senna ever spoke with her inner... Well, I guess Kazupi can just hear it anyway, so maybe that's different. And yet, despite that, we'd have a conversation with just our inner voices, several even. Gigalomaniacs can make other people see their delusions. Kazupi's ability is particularly strong. You can think of it like this. Those subjected to a discharged delusion are practically forced to see it. See delusions? Was such a thing possible? I definitely couldn't do that, and if I couldn't, then I probably wasn't actually a Gigalomaniac, except, flower bed. Suddenly, Senna looked farther away from me, her gaze shifting from the Jumbotron to the crowds of people walking through the scramble crossing. All those who have become Gigalomaniacs broke at some point in their lives. So back to the theory I had before. Everyone's got mental issues. What is your backstory then? Broke? What do you mean? Their minds. Before Kazue came to Tokyo, she was hunted down by them, and her mind was shattered. And so Senna began to tell me about what Kazubi had experienced before she transferred schools. This seems like something you shouldn't be sharing without her permission. How about you just tell me about yourself? She began by saying that she had seen in an image, one that she'd witnessed back when she'd first met Kazubi. Okay, we're going to transition. More flashback. Lots of Kazubi backstory today. Ever since she was a little girl, Kazubi had possessed the peculiar ability to view the minds of others. Despite this affliction, Kazubi managed to live a somewhat peaceful life by approaching her power in her own way, hiding it from others. Her change had begun with mirrors. Upon entering high school, Kazubi began to see her reflection in mirrors more and more frequently throughout her daily life. At first, she believed it was only coincidence. It would only occur about twice a day. But as time went by, the frequency gradually increased. Of what, mirrors? Kazubi would encounter people holding mirrors more than 10 times in a single day. Oh, people just holding mirrors. None of these encounters were particularly suspect. Just people passing by her on the street holding a mirror, or a classmate fixing her makeup in the bathroom. However, regardless of whether these occurrences were mere coincidence or indeed intentional, Kazubi would almost always see her own reflection in the mirrors. Eventually, all of those who held the mirrors began to make noises akin to suppressed laughter. In their minds, they called out to Kazubi with the words, "Who are you?" In the classroom, on campus, en route to school, while shopping, everywhere Kazubi went, these people would appear. It was not a specific person perpetrating it. It was a different person every time. But in Kazui's eyes, anyone who possessed a mirror began to look suspicious. Anyone who would suppress their laughter around her began to look suspicious. Before long, even those without mirrors began to look suspicious, and Kazubi began to face hallucinations in which they would all call out to her with, "Who are you?" She became nearly neurotic, and the voices present in the back of her head refused to leave. One day, Kazubi mumbled something to herself in the mirror. "Who are you?" Upon saying those words, Kazubi felt an immense sense of fear, one that told her she truly did not know the answer. A girl with the same face as hers addressed her from the other side of the mirror. "Who are you?" Ever since that day, Kazubi could no longer speak, and she was unable to look at herself in the mirror. Even still, the question of "who are you" would continue to assault her. She did not even know whose voice it was inside her head anymore. And due to another facet of her particular ability, much akin to a broken fax machine, Kazubi would receive the voices of other people indiscriminately, regardless of if she desired it or not. She herself had no say in the matter. And thus, Kazui's mind was torn to shreds. One day in her second year of high school, Kazubi was cleaning the classroom at the end of the day. Is this going to tie into her first scene where we saw her burning all her stuff in an incinerator? As she tidied up, 3 female classmates of hers, all with mirrors in hand, were whispering something among themselves. Mirrors. Suppressed laughter. Then came the question, "Who are you?" Had it truly been the inner voice of one of her 3 classmates? Or had it just been a hallucination on Kazui's part? It didn't matter. The reflection in the mirror found its way to Kazui's eyes, both of which were trembling in fear. For a moment, Kazui's vision blurred. Had it been intentional or a coincidence? It didn't matter. At that very moment, Kazui's mind, after facing endless strain for well over a year, finally broke, the event accompanied by the sound of glass shattering. Upon realizing this, Kazue shrieked, no, screamed from the deepest depths of her lungs. Out of the corner of her eye, Kazue saw her D-sword, and took hold of it for the very first time. She then proceeded to attack her 3 classmates. Well! The hands of the 3, each of which were holding a mirror, were then severed by the real-booted D-sword in less than an instant. Oh, damn! Well, they're going to have an interesting story for the principal. According to the minimum attendance chart, I didn't have a reason to go to school today, but despite that, I was heading there anyway for one reason and one reason only, to see Remy. Well, that was a abrupt end to that story, but alright. I had no doubt that the DQNs in class would make fun of me just like they always did. It would definitely suck, but if it meant I could see Remy, I could endure it. Again, Remy's not a good person. As I passed through the school gate, I thought back to yesterday. When we'd parted, Senna had made it a point to say something.
お前が望むと望まないとに関わらず、
If you continue
もし
down
これ
this
以上踏み
path,
込んでくるようなら、
whether you desire it or not,
負を正にするぐらいの強
your
い意識を持
consciousness
つ
must be strong enough to create positive from negative.
中途半端な気持ちじゃ。
We are kind of Mr.
妄想に
Negative,
食
so
わ
this
れ
may
る
be a
だけだ。
challenge. If you don't, if you half-ass it, your delusions will devour you from within. I didn't want to get involved in anything that sounded dangerous, so I opted not to ask anything else. Ignorance is not bliss. Besides, I still didn't know how far I'd have to go to get my hands on a D-sword. I was no hero, just a useless piece of shit that couldn't even protect his own sister. But it was also possible that Shogun could show up again. He seemed to be playing with me like it was some kind of game after all. Maybe he'd feel like sending me on another quest soon. Again, what is Shogun's motivation for getting you your sword? Because he clearly wants this too. Just the thought alone terrified me. I'd tried to grasp my D-sword, but even that was just to protect myself from him. Without that sword, how could I ever hope to escape his evil clutches? Maybe if Remy was by my side like she said she would be, but she'd been absent from school lately, which worried me. What if she'd been taken hostage, just like Nanami? Was there anyone out there who could help me? They would have to be someone with a D-sword. I feel like Remy has a D-sword, and we're not going to know about it until she uses it to kill us, because again, it was in the opening cutscene. Ayase couldn't because she was injured. I really want to catch up with her again. Senna definitely won't. And Kazubi was a bit... No, she was fairly weird. My head looking squarely at the floor, I entered the classroom. Before taking my seat, I took a quick look around. I looked toward Remy's seat first. Empty. Was she taking today off too? Was it really that simple? Was she really just taking time off? I began to feel anxious. Hey, Mizubi, talk to us again. I wanted to see her. I wanted to see that cheerful face. Next, I looked over at Kazumi's desk. She was in her seat, face down and huddled up. I was reminded of what Senna had told me yesterday, and now made sense why Kazubi was always like that. In complete, just weird juxtaposition to the way she looks, she's just like, Ohio, Takumi-san. Morning, Kazubi. I didn't make eye contact, but I greeted her with my inner voice. The female DQNs were watching me, smirking. Cunts. Well, language, jeez. It was no different than yesterday. They'd all already labeled me as that otaku freak who said he was psychic and made an ass of himself on TV, and that label wasn't going away anytime soon as I psychically talked to the girls in the room. The male DQNs didn't seem to have arrived yet. It was pretty common for them to skip first period, and that was fine by me. I took my seat, but when I did, that voice called my name. Kazubi again?
Taku, ohayo.
Good morning, Taku! That sounds like a Remy. It is a Remy! Shocked, I looked up in a panic, and there she stood, right in front of my eyes, Remy. With a hint of shyness, she gave me a short wave.
久しぶり.
Hey, long time no see.
Remy.
Remy? Hey, you're not dead. It wasn't an illusion. There was a definite presence. She was breathing. Her hair was rustling. She was blinking. She was right there. She was right here. I felt a twinge in the back of my nose, a tightness squeezed within my chest. I felt like I was going to cry. I still hadn't sat down. I'd just frozen with my head hanging down. I was so happy I'd gotten to see her again. Oh, here's some pretty music.
どうしたの?
Hey, Taku, what's wrong?
もしかして
You are an undercover mole, and we do not trust you. Are you crying? I frantically shook my head. If my DQN classmates found I was crying, they'd start making fun of me all over again. I told myself that I couldn't cry, but the tears kept flowing. Oh, I get it now. You're just that happy to see me again, aren't you? You tease, but you're right. Ta ha ha, just kidding. That might be giving myself a bit too much credit. Even as she joked around so cheerfully, all I could do was continue shaking my head. Again, I like the fact that Kazupi has read Rimi's mind and has reason to not trust her and knows that we have reason to not trust her, even if she hasn't elaborated. So is Kazubi going to chime in at some point and be like, "Ooga, ooga, emergency. She's thinking about killing you, just so you know." Even if she joked around so cheerfully, all I could do was continue shaking my head. I couldn't even look at her. If I did, I know I'd really start bawling. Suddenly, someone clapped me on the back. Oh, are things back to normal now? Hey, what up, Taku? It was Mizumi-kun with an uncomfortable look on his face. His slap was a lot weaker than usual. I'm not sure I actually want to be here, but Rimi's talking to you, so I might as well, come along and not be left out. Hi. You certainly had no issue ignoring me before. Why start paying attention to me now all of a sudden? I'm sure that you'll regret talking to me. You'll become the DQN's next target, just like me. Yeah, Rimi, Mizumi-kun, even you. You'd both be better off not associating with an otaku freak like me. I remained silent, but Mizumi-kun forced a smile. Well, don't you look like shit. You already this worn out this early in the morning, man? Well, I know you're just that kind of guy. As harsh as his words were, I didn't get the feeling that he was joking or acting sarcastic. After all, it was pretty common for him to say stuff like that. Okay, but who can blame him? Anybody can get worn out hanging out with someone as stupid cheery as you are in the morning. What do you mean, stupid? You came to school for the first time in forever, and this is what I get? Alrighty, and how about so cheery it seems fake? Hey, Taku, what do you think? She right or wrong? Yeah. I nodded ambiguously. The tears had somehow managed to stop. The usual routine was happening right in front of me. Both of them were completely oblivious to the fact that my standing in class had taken a steep nosedive. What standing? It was rock bottom to start with. Oh yeah! Did you hear about Kishimoto? Oh, is she out? Apparently, she's still in the hospital. Guess not. Her injuries weren't all that bad, but she's pretty messed up in the head. Listen up, Taku. You want to know the fastest way to a woman's heart? Act like you care in her moment of weakness. You are truly a scumbag. So, on that note, I'm seriously thinking about paying Kishimoto a visit. You know what? I actually wouldn't mind tagging along with that, if only because you need a chauffeur. You're the worst, Daichin. Boo! You realize you're going to get stabbed by your girlfriend for real this time, right? I'm just dropping by. Nothing's going to happen that I'm going to feel guilty about. Mostly because I have absolutely no shame. That's not what you said a few seconds ago. Oh yeah, while we're at it, Itaku, you know Kishimoto, right? You mind coming with me? I'm actually very interested in that conversation. Huh? It was the typical subject matter from Mizumi-kun. I thought for sure he was going to ask about my psychic powers, but when he didn't, it caught me off guard. But instead of noticing, Mizumi-kun went right back to what he was saying. And then we fell into our usual routine. Mizumi-kun talking and talking, Rimi occasionally butting in with a sharp jab, and me just giving vague responses. And the fact that it was no different than usual kind of made me happy. Oh! Hey, this guy's slowly starting to turn to his right. That's the same haircut, the same hair color with the hang down part on the right side. This is what you look like? This guy is just... Yeah, that is the face of an evil person. At the top floor of Nozomi Group HQ, within the presidential office, Narose Genichi stood near a window, lighting a cigarette ablaze. So this is our guy, who's been in all these cutscenes, I guess. I mean, it's a different color suit, but I'm pretty sure the hair is the same. Narose Genichi. Nozomi Group. An enormous corporate group with abundant subsidiaries, one that conducted business while being accompanied by licensed approval from the nation itself. A number of those subsidiaries then found success in a variety of business fields, from sales of clothing or groceries to managing sales and imports as a trading company. Narose, who reigned above all at the apex of the group, looked below at the grand view of his castle. His conscious mind, however, was not gazing upon the scenery before him. Repeatedly tapping his foot against the floor in agitation, his lips curled in a sneer. God almighty. Old men are such a trifling inconvenience. Don't you agree? They're much too cowardly. Though one could say my rising this far is attributed to their inadequacy. As useful as they are, I am more than fed up with their every interruption for every single trivial this or that. Who is he talking to? Is he talking to Sua, maybe? Alas, the reality is that the Committee of 300's influence must not be underestimated. However, it won't be long. The system will soon collapse upon itself, and the ruling structure of the world will be swiftly rearranged. Do you look forward to it? As do I. Copious lengths of time have been spent to reach this point. The conception of Project Noah is already in excess of 5 years ago. 5 years ago! That was when the video was supposedly taken of the group dive. What else happened then? I forget what else, that's the main thing. Narose approached his personal desk. The solid desk of natural oak contained few ornaments of any note, adorned only with items one might find in a typical office setting. At the table's edge, however, a single conspicuous object casually lay. Taking bets? Taking bets? Narose grabbed the green, strangely designed character in his hand. Upon giving it a single disinterested glance, he promptly discarded it in the waste bin. Green designed character. Now then. That's not ringing a bell. His narrowed eyes turned to the dim room's interior. The rear of the room where the moonlight could not reach housed the slightest hint of another person. And to think you were a gigalomaniac all along. I want to say Sua. I'm not too sure who else I could think of, but it seems likely. It seems even God has aligned himself as my ally. You will allow me to have your sample. Whatever's the matter. You have not a thing to fear. I was once a doctor, you see. One wouldn't dream of proceeding without first obtaining informed consent. I was once a doctor. Was this the guy who was Takashina's mentor? Because that would also explain a connection to Takashina and why he was killed off. In addition, the hardware for Noah 2 is already complete. All that remains now is the software. And to that end, I require many samples of you gigalomaniacs. Or, more precisely, code samples relative to one's noradrenergic synapses. Noradrenergic. I'm going to pretend that's it. These are behavioral samples taken from the region that manages brain function. Brain samples are what you guys are taking? Damn! There is individual variation between code samples. Gigalomaniacs is noted by their exceptional abilities utilized in otherwise untapped activation of these NA synapses, which exert their influence over a broader region of the brain. The human brain utilizes 10% of its overall capacity. But this does not apply to gigalomaniacs. It is understood that they utilize the remaining 90%. The inner workings of a gigalomaniac's mind are truly fascinating. Those samples will play the role of Noah 2's CPU, so to speak. With each and every additional sample, the abilities of Noah 2 will approach that of a true gigalomaniac, until eventually it surpasses them. Do you offer your consent? not going to find out who it is, of course. Brilliant. Narose nodded in satisfaction, exhaling a cloud of smoke as he returned his view to the scenery beyond the window. I don't think it would be Shogun, even if it could be Shogun, because that's just our sample, right? Upon viewing it up close, the Shibuyan nightscape was the essence of vulgarity itself, leaving Narose solely with feelings of discomfort. His persistent belief of this remote location, however, was that it was more than adequate. Nevertheless, it would not be long before this nightscape would be a sight never to be seen again. The final experiment of his Project Noah would make sure of that. The day is nigh for the world to be born anew. So there's going to be the big earthquake, the one that we saw the aftermath of in the opening scene when we got killed. Oh, that's the green figure. Oh, no way in hell it's Nanami. Are you serious? How is that going to work? I mean, we still haven't seen Nanami since the whole rescue bit. Huh. Who the hell else would have a frickin' well, I mean, everyone has a Gero Froggy in this game. It could be Yua, but I doubt it. She seems like she wouldn't be on this side. Why would Sua have a frickin' Gero Froggy? It's insinuating Yua or Nanami, but I don't see how either of them could be. But, hey, we could be wrong. Yua seems like she's on our side. We just don't like what she has to say. Well, again, the questions are piling up. I feel like we're getting close to an ending here. There's only so many chapters left. I'm pretty sure we're in the third last chapter? I think. At least the default chapters, according to Steam. So we're heading for an ending. We're heading for an earthquake. We're probably heading for an ending where we get killed after that earthquake, where Rimi stabs us with her sword. Maybe Rimi was the one that was there because she's working for Shogun. Who the hell knows? Anyway, I guess we're done. We're at an hour. I'm going to cut it off here. We've got a clean break. And, yeah, we've had a lot of exposition and chit-chat, which probably means that we're due for another disaster very shortly. So look forward to whatever the hell happens, whatever the hell hits us next time. I look forward to seeing you guys there. I hope you're enjoying the series. If you're this far in, I appreciate that you've stuck with the series. I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate you being here. And I hope that you are engaged and you are invested, because this is going places. We haven't hit an ending yet. How many endings has this game got? We've only gotten the bad ones so far. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Have a great week. I know you will. See you around. Bye-bye.